What's up, YouTube? It's Unruly, aka Kenny, and I'm going to bring you my review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, there's going to be spoilers in this. It's spoilers, you saw it in the title. I'm saying spoilers right now, so you pretty much know what you're getting into. I think you guys seen enough reviews that aren't spoilerific, and maybe some of you guys want spoilers, or maybe you guys want to know what I thought of the movie and to see if it matches what you thought. But first, this movie's an instant classic, man. I love this movie. It was amazing. It had a good mix of the old and the new. It felt, you could feel a little bit of the prequels, but not in a bad way. You just, with the improved filmmaking, and that's what I meant by it. But also, you just got a really sense of the classic film because, the practical sets and the attention to detail was just amazing. And one of the first things I want to say is you really felt the Force in this movie. Like that scene when Kylo Ren comes out of the ship and turns on his lightsaber, it felt like the fucking world shook. I was like, oh. And then when they try to shoot him and he just like stops time, and that was like, you're like, dude, this guy's a badass. Like that is when you found like you were in for a ride. Now, to me, that kind of reminded me, like, now this whole movie is pretty much a love letter to the original Star Wars, to the first one, A New Hope. You see so much of it, like, in the very beginning, when they land, it's very much just like that first scene in A New Hope, when the stormtroopers land and they have to fight, and there's the robot plans. It's super, super similar to the original. And you could see some people be like, maybe it was a cop out. Maybe I don't think so. It's Star Wars, and I think he wanted to make that movie familiar to people and be like, look, guys, I love Star Wars. I'm bringing it back. It felt like it almost felt like somewhat of a remake, but I didn't have any problem with it. It did kind of linger in the back of my mind, like, oh, I've seen this. And like going back to that whole scene where he gets shot, or it doesn't get shot, but they shoot and he just stops the laser. Kind of reminded me when Vader was in Cloud City and Han Solo shoots him, and all of a sudden, Darth Vader just puts up his hand and catches laser blast with his hand. And my friend Simmons is like, yeah, what the fuck just happened, man? What did Darth Vader do? Maybe they tried to do that and they didn't have that much, they didn't have the technology to do it, but oh my God, you feel the Force in this movie. So some of the things that I loved was just about everything. There was very little that I could nitpick about this movie. I mean, maybe if you were a super Star Wars hardcore fan, you could find some things, but as a movie experience and as a Star Wars fan, I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Star Wars fan, but I love the movies. I've seen every single one. I've collected a few things here and there, but I'm not like a mega, I can't quote every single thing, but I've seen every movie and I thoroughly enjoy them. One of my favorite things was that little droid. He was probably the star of the show. It's like, he was done so well. He wasn't overly, he captured it. He didn't do a Jar Jar Binks. I mean, like, so what I mean by that, he needed a comic, kind of a comic relief character, a character that could lighten up the movie, and he did. It was amazing. It was like that little robot conveyed so much emotion. It was, man, I love that guy. I just can't wait to see more of him, and then can't believe how well that was done. Thoughts on, thoughts on Rey. Rey, I dug her. She was cool. She was quiet. She was super independent, like super strong-willed. I mean, I have some theories about her, so since this is a spoiler review, we can kind of go in and out and back and forth. But I'm going to bet, I mean, almost everybody's saying it, but when I saw the movie, I'm like, dude, that is Luke Skywalker's daughter. Now, when there's a couple of big things. She's had the flashbacks, and when they're in the mind probe, he's like when Kylo Ren's doing the mind probe, and he's like, I see oceans and everything like that. And then, Luke is in an ocean planet. And another big thing is that R2-D2 was just, he couldn't be revived. He was in power save mode for the entire time. For like 30 years. He didn't move. He didn't do anything. Not even C-3PO, his best robo buddy, could, cheer him up. And then all of a sudden, she comes back to that planet. He wakes up, starts getting happy, and reveals the last part of the map. So that could have been something that Luke Skywalker's like, okay, if you feel, download my present. If you feel some presence like this, then you got to let her know. Or maybe it was the lightsaber. Hmm. Okay. Maybe they could be trying to throw us for a loop. Maybe it was the lightsaber, not Rey. I don't know. I just thought of that right now making this review. Maybe something in the lightsaber that, okay, if I get the lightsaber gets next to R2, somebody has my lightsaber and they need to find me. Or it could be that Rey is in fact Luke Skywalker's daughter, which I could kind of see that happening more than maybe just being the lightsaber. But she was a great character. The chemistry with the character Finn was amazing. John Boyega, he did an amazing job. That character was cool. It was like it's probably became one of my favorite characters of the Star Wars universe now. And to see his character development, like you could just tell when that storm. I mean, of course, you saw the teaser trailer. You saw him took off his helmet and everything like that. See, that's why I don't like watching trailers. But you could see it when in that scene when his friend gets shot and puts that bloody hand on his face, and he can finally start to see that these stormtroopers are humanized, and you're like, oh shoot, I'm pretty sure that is Finn right there, and that was such a cool thing to see, and it looks like he's a Jedi. They haven't really said out front, but I don't know. I'm just they give him the weapon and he's swinging it around, so could very well be a Jedi. Would explain why he was such a good shot, even though he hasn't had much, what is it? Like war experience. But yeah, it was but to see him, just if he is a Jedi, it would be great because he started off in the dark and he's just realizing like, man, I can't do this. I can't be a part of this. This is just terrible. And when everyone's shooting and you don't see him shoot, and you're like, oh man, all right, this guy's awesome. And another thing that he could be a Jedi is like, I don't know if Kylo Ren sensed it and kind of turned, or maybe noticed that he didn't shoot. But then for me, I thought that I was like, maybe Kylo Ren was like, do I feel the Force with this guy, or did that guy just not shoot? But little things that I just got off of that scene. But he was just super charismatic. He was fun. In the parts that were comedic, he wasn't too over the top, and it just came out super naturally. The guy Poe, the pilot, he was pretty awesome. You didn't see much of him. I'm glad I didn't see the trailers because I honestly thought he died. I remember I watched the movie. I didn't watch the trailers, and so when the thing goes down and the TIE fighter goes down in that little sand pit, I kind of actually thought he died. But if I watched the trailers, I would have seen the scene where he's flying in the different planet and he sees Finn again. I'm like, oh, he's not dead. Yeah, he's alive. So I actually thought he was dead, but he was a badass. He was a really cool character. When I first saw the character, I kind of like, I didn't see trailers, but you're on social media and people post photos and stuff like that, and they post photos of this guy, and you kind of see it for a second, like and I didn't seem too impressed, but the character was awesome, man. He reminded me of the Knights of the Old Republic stormtroopers, just like a badass dude that just won't back down. He was standing, he was confronted by Kylo Ren, and he was still a badass, and he held off to the end. So, I was like, oh, is this guy a Jedi too? But I don't see him being a Jedi. And then we're going to talk about Kylo Ren, and it was awesome, man. It was really cool. He was like 1,000 times better than Anakin becoming Darth Vader, and that his process was amazing. He wanted to be that stone cold badass that, all right, so I've said it before, fuck, why am I saying it? Spoilers, that he wanted to be like his grandfather. Because he just knew, like, Darth Vader just gave no shits, man. He was just like, what? I'll kill you, but bam, you're dead. I destroy a planet, I don't care. I just want to get my mission done. I want to do what's good for the Empire, and that's what he wanted. But you could see that he was conflicted. You could see that he still had, passion and anger and everything like that, and he just wanted to be the stone cold guy that was Darth Vader. And now one thing that I noticed too is I saw that when he put his helmet, it was on ashes, and I'm like, dude, does he have Darth Vader's ashes right there? Is that how hardcore he is? Because he had the helmet, And then if you notice in that scene, just boom, pops his own helmet on the ashes. So I'm like, dude, this guy is, what happened to this guy? And it just leaves you with so many questions, and that's not a bad thing. I think a good movie should leave you with a lot of questions. And the first Star Wars, they actually didn't leave you with a lot of questions. I mean, it may have, but it was like all said and done. Like if it was the only one movie, it was like, hey, look at, they went, they destroyed the Death Star, they won, boom, boom, bam, and it could have been the end of the movie right there. So this movie definitely leaves you with a lot of questions. You're like, he was trained by Luke, and somewhere along the line, he just fell to the dark side, and you're like, wow, what's that path? And then, which leads you to the Supreme Leader Snoke, or I think that's his name, and to see his reveal was pretty awesome. And then you're like, wow, okay, this guy looks ancient. I want to know more about this guy. He looks like he is the Sith version of Yoda. He looks like he's ancient. He looks like he's like a couple of thousand years old, and maybe he's been a puppet master behind a lot of this stuff ever since. And when they released him, and I mean, of course, he was a hologram, but him being 20 feet tall and everything like that, I don't think he's going to be 20 feet tall, but I guess he wanted to impose himself and make himself look super huge. But I just want to know more about him, and like there's theories, oh, is he Darth Plagueis or something like that? And you know what? Who is this guy? And all right, so then going back to that, now here's the biggest spoiler, like the biggest emotional moment of the movie. I mean, you find out that Kylo Ren is Han's son, and man, you could see it in his heart that it hurts. It hurts them both, and the movie made you feel a lot. And if you are a huge Star Wars fan, this movie, it hit you. It hit you hard. And you could just see it, the hurt in Han Solo, and the way, that made him want to go back to smuggling and just get away from it all, when his son just said, hey, I'm going to be, Darth Vader. I'm going to be like my grandpa. And that whole scene where you see his son is just conflicted and everything like that. And then to the point where, that one scene where they're in that station, and then he's like, Dad, I need you to help me with something. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't, and I didn't get spoiled. I made it all the way to the scene in the movie without getting that spoiled. And it looked like, I'm like, oh shit, will he turn around? Will they create a new villain? And, he hands him the lightsaber. And then you start seeing that scene start to go red, just more and more red. And you're like, oh shit, dude, he is not going to do it. He is not. And then, dude stabs his father. And I'm like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, how are you going to give us this in the first movie? How are you going to give us this huge? I mean, this thing was huge. It was that, they were trying to do that moment, when he's like, Luke, I'm your father. But instead, he's like, hey, you're my father, and I'm going to kill you. It was like, whoa, that they gave you, like, to make me, which, like, what else can they do? Like, I honestly thought they were going to follow the arc of the first 3 films, but actually they almost finished, they did the arc in like 2 films. They kind of combined, a new, I don't know, Star Wars Episode 4 and 5 kind of into one movie. They gave us a giant reveal, a giant what the fuck moment, the Death Star explosion, and, that goes back to the whole thing. It's like, they almost made Star Wars Episode 4 again, but like, I'm not mad at it. It was just so well done, and it was just so good to know that it was well taken care of. And I think every Star Wars fan can be proud. I mean, there might be some people that didn't like it, but that's not what I've been seeing online. But then again, it's the hype. I mean, I doubt it, because like when we all saw Phantom Menace, we were like, oh my gosh, it looks cool, and we were so excited to get another Star Wars. Then after like a couple of weeks later, you're like, oh man, this freaking Philly cheesesteak sandwich is a Philly turd sandwich. But I don't see that being the case with this film. And a good friend of mine, Maximilian Dude, hit the nail on the head. Now he talked about the reveal of Kylo Ren being Han Solo's son. Well, the first time he takes off his mask is to Rey. And I think he hit it on the head. He's like, he should have kept the mask on. I know that he was trying to convey, like, that they were kind of battling each other and everything like that, and they needed to show that. But he said that the first time that he took off, that he should have took off his mask, is when he met his father. So we can all see it, and then you can all see, like, holy shit, he kind of does look like Han. He's got the nose, he's kind of got Leia's kind of like, hair color and everything like that, and it would have made that moment a lot more powerful. So he's like, yeah, and then you take off the mask and you're like, oh, let's see, and like, holy shit, it is Han's son. And as a moviegoer, we can all have that moment together. But they kind of took off his helmet, before, and then he took it off, again to Han. Max, this is credit to Max. It was a great. I think his idea would have been much more amazing. Like, to that first reveal, he takes it off, and he looks at his father, and they look in each other's eyes, and then he does that. Woo, that would have been. I mean, already, man. That was the whole time I was like, oh man. And one thing that I really liked too is how there were characters in the film that knew about the Force and knew of the Force. They weren't Jedis, but they really understood it. They were like, like these wise mages and everything like that. There was, I really liked Max von Sydow, the whole, sorry, butchered your name. But his character was pretty awesome. He's this wise guy, a wise old man, and I was like, whoa, what's up with this guy? Is he a Jedi or what? He just knew about the Force. He knew about Luke. But oof, he got cut down pretty hard. And then the character in the cantina, and she knew so much, and it was kind of cool. They were like ambassadors and everything like that. And C-3PO was awesome. He came back, and that was really cool. He had some great lines. It was weird though seeing the characters older. It was weird seeing Han Solo older. It was really weird to see Princess Leia older, but it kind of took me out of the film for a bit. It was just like, it's messing with my brain, and I'm like, man, that just means I'm old. And then, all right, so that's my review. I love this film. It was awesome. I had a great time. All right, so here's my cool little Easter egg that it's not really an Easter egg, it's like anything to do with Star Wars, but in the pirates, like those Asian-looking pirates, those were the main dudes from the Raid Redemption. My buddy Manny was like in the theater, like, yo, Kenny, look, it's the dudes from the Raid. I was like, yo, I'm like, okay, man, I hope those guys make it out alive, because they're badass dudes. They didn't look that cool. They just looked like pretty much generic space pirates, but man, those guys in the Raid, oh man, I was hoping they would just do some kicking or something like that, or take on some Jedi or fight or something like that. But yeah, guys, pay attention to that scene when those space pirates come out and everything like that. But I mean, that's just me, just off the top of my head, saying what I love of the film. I'm going to watch it again, and I'll probably talk about it and do another YouTube video. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter or wherever you guys want, or on my stream. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. 5 time. All right, guys. May the Force be with you.